Well, guys, I'm back. I won't be long, but I wanted a little bit of an after show after the show, just because I feel like we might have a few more things to talk about. And of course, with Al's show, it's TV. We cannot be given soliloquies and we can't be long winded, right? We've got to stay on time. So, of course, he has to move along the conversation. But I saw some questions in the chat that related to a few different things. So, I wanted to answer those and then I'm only going to be on here just for a few minutes because I need to go to sleep and I'm tired and I need to eat. If I don't eat, I'm cranky and I act crazy. So, um, so one of those was about Kobe. So one of the things that I wanted to explain about Kobe and his family is I also wanted to explain. So what we talked about on the show tonight was the fact that many in the media were concerned about the fact and offended actually by the fact that Kobe Bryant's ring was recent that he gave to his family was recently sold. Was recently sold for $1 million. And so they thought I had a number of people that have asked me like, are they allowed to do that? Is that okay? And the answer is as long as it was a gift that Kobe gave to his parents during his life, they can do whatever they want with it. They could do whatever they want in his life and after. And what happened here is the ring recently sold for 1 million. This was his championship ring. However, and one of the championships, we know Kobe has many. However, back in the day when he was seeking to put it up for auction, he actually was offended that his parents did it. And so he tried to intervene and stop it. That was not possible. That ring sold back in 2013 for approximately $173,000. This year, the new owner sold it for 1 million. And so one of the things that Al was referencing was the fact that, hey, if he was Vanessa, he would make sure that for the rest of the life of Kobe's parents, that they were taken care of. But I also found it interesting that Al also referenced that Kobe stated throughout his life that he always took care of his parents. Even when they were estranged, they may not talk, but financially, the parents were okay. So I could see how if I've always been taking care of you parents and you sell my championship ring, I might have an issue with that. And furthermore, I have to say, I respectfully disagree with Judge Reynolds as he stated that no matter what, he would always take care of the parents. Because as a woman, I have to say, especially when it comes to dealing with in laws and the other side of the family, you often get hit with a lot of stuff. You are expected to smile. You are expected to be graceful. And if not, you're considered ungraceful and disrespectful, etc. And I think that there's nothing wrong with treating people and with teaching people how to treat you and not rewarding mistreatment. So, although I don't know their particular facts, if in fact they mistreated Vanessa over the years, which is one of the things that's been reported, then I would stand with Vanessa if she said, hey, I'm going to continue, as an example, I'm going to continue the allowance and the financial situations that Kobe gave to his family during their life, but I'm not going to jump over hoops when you're selling his championship ring, when you're selling the things that are so sacred and that are invaluable to him because he's done everything he can to make you happy. Yet and still, it's not working. And more than that, if you're disrespectful to me, if you talk crazy about me in front of my kids, oh no, no, I'm not coming around you, and I'm not bringing my kids, etc. Those are my thoughts. Drop your thoughts in the chat, and drop the tea, because ultimately, part of the question was why in 2013 did Kobe's parents feel the need to sell the ring in the first place? Did they feel he wasn't helping them and assisting them, or was it they were just like, it's a ring. He's got buku rings. He wins all the time. What's this one ring? Let's go ahead and get this 200K. I'm not sure. Um, TK in the chat says, I agree. If they mistreated her, she has a right to draw boundaries. Hey, baby, I'm a boundary drawer. There is nothing wrong with drawing healthy boundaries because if you don't treat people how to teach, if you don't teach people how to treat you, they ain't never gonna learn. And you're gonna be a senior citizen in a nasty, dirty, unkempt nursing home because you didn't teach these people who are now responsible for taking care of you how to take care of you when you were well. Another comment that I saw, one of the questions was about the Rashee Rice uh, situation. And some people were asking if he was drunk driving and whether or not, whether it was him driving or his friends. Now, So with Rasheed Wallace, this weekend on Saturday, he was accused of racing. He was in a rented Lamborghini and was accused of racing a buddy of his who was driving his Corvette. And during the race, it resulted in an accident that hit four other cars and spun them around the highway. So one of the questions is, well, which car was Rasheed actually driving, if any? And that's because Rasheed rented the car from a luxury rental company. And the agreement with that rental company is he would be the only person driving it. So, to answer that person's question, if it's discovered that Rasheed was not driving the car, but that one of his friends was, then the rental insurance that was in place to cover that $300,000 car isn't going to cover it. Mr. Wallace is going to have to pay out of pocket on his own to make good, not only to replace that car, which was totaled, but also to make good for the other four people that were also hit in that incident. And let me think, are there any other, let me see, if you could put in the chat if you had any other questions or anything else that needed clarification. I think that got it. Oh, I did want to add one other fun fact. So I referenced the fact that, hey, if I represented any of those four people that were injured, what would I say? I already mentioned that if your car was totaled, my first recommendation is that you should get a quote from both insurance companies, not just from the person who hit you. Because commonly, that's the only person that people get quotes from because they think, oh, I don't want to call my insurance company because if I do, my rate's going to go up. That is a myth. The truth is, if it's not your fault and there's another person out there with liability insurance to cover it, your rates aren't going to go up. Because what happens when after your case is resolved is something called subrogation. And how subrogation works is one insurance company literally speaks to the subrogation department of the other insurance company and says, run me my money, cut me my check. So State Farm will cut a check to Allstate. You'll never know about it because that's the benefit of insurance. They do it in the backdrop so you don't have to be bothered, but that's also why your insurance doesn't raise. In addition, the second thing I would say is if you are one of those four victims, right, make sure you file claims against both cars, not the one. They were racing each other. They are both responsible. So the Lamborghini company and that car, as well as Rasheed Wallace and that Corvette, both have to make you whole. And let's say you weren't injured, it was just a little property damage. Let's say you just need to get your car fixed. One of the biggest mistakes that people make when it's simply property damage after an accident is they only get their car fixed. Oh, no, baby. You're entitled to a lot more. You're entitled to get your car fixed. Number one, you are entitled to a rental car of equal make, model, and style and value as your own. For example, I once had parked my car or I gave valet my keys. The valet driver totaled it. He had a seizure, allegedly. He was on drugs, that's another story. And he totaled the car. And the company, in the midst of us resolving it, was like, well, we'll give you a rental car, a $30 rental car. I said, oh, no, you will not. I had a drop top BMW. What I did was I went on Turo, found my exact car, saw that my exact car was $135 a day to rent. And I sent them an email that says, for every day you don't give me a rental, because they said, we're not gonna, we can't authorize that. They said, we can only give you $30 a day. I said, okay, cool. For every day you don't give me a rental, I'm gonna run up this 135. It ended up being over 200 days. They sent me a check for $25,000 in addition to totaling out my vehicle. But if your vehicle is not totaled, right, it's just messed up and you need to get it fixed, you're entitled to not just that 30-day rental, but the value of a rental of your same type of car. So if you have a luxury car, a luxury car. And the number one thing people forget to ask for is actually what's called loss of value, diminution of value. What that means is, let's say you're driving an Altima and your, let's see, we'll say we're 2014. So let's say it was a 2003 Altima is injured in an accident. What happens is you're entitled not just to the repairs, but to the loss of value you've experienced due to the fact that if there were two identical Altimas, one that's been in a wreck and one that hasn't, you're going to get less for the one that's been wrecked. So that's often how you can get an extra two, $3,000 put straight into your pocket. As long as you own the vehicle and you're not leasing, you're entitled to that too. So drop more questions on the chat below, drop them in the comments. I'd love to answer your questions that you have about any other related topics from tonight's show or the future. Have a great night, y'all.